There's a crack forming in Utah right now, and if you're a Lakers fan, you need to understand something. Cracks like this are exactly how you steal a player you're never supposed to be able to get. I was watching the show tonight, and they were breaking down a standoff brewing out in Salt Lake City. A young, elite center who is fed up with his team, a front office trying to quietly choke off his market, and a whole lot of bad blood simmering underneath it all. And then Shams Charania said something that made me sit straight up. Because according to him, the Los Angeles Lakers are positioning themselves to pounce on that exact crack. So stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through is less of a normal trade and more of a heist. And the Lakers might be the perfect team to pull it off. Here's what Shams reported, cutting right through the noise. According to sources, the Los Angeles Lakers are preparing to make a serious run at Utah Jazz center Walker Kessler, who is a restricted free agent and is, by multiple accounts, strongly considering a future outside of Utah. The Lakers, sources say, view him as the exact answer to the question that has haunted this franchise all offseason. Walker Kessler, a rim-running, shot-blocking, lob-catching young center next to Luka Doncic. Read that again, because if you understand what the Lakers have actually needed since the day they traded for Luka, you understand that this isn't just a name on a wish list. This might be the single most perfect fit on the entire market, and the door to get him just cracked open. So let me explain exactly how this could happen, because the path is fascinating. Now, I already know some of you are skeptical, because you've heard the Lakers are interested in a center about 400 times. So stay with me, because this situation is different, and the reason it's different is the drama unfolding in Utah right now. Let me lay out what's actually happening, because the context is everything. Walker Kessler is a restricted free agent. Now, restricted free agency is a brutal thing for a player, because his current team, the Jazz, holds what's called the right of first refusal. In plain English, even if another team offers Kessler a contract, Utah gets the chance to match it and keep him. That's a powerful tool, and here's the problem. According to reporting from people plugged into this, the Jazz have been using that power as a weapon, leveraging the realities of restricted free agency to suppress Kessler's market, to keep his price down and his options limited, and Walker Kessler is not happy about it. He was already frustrated that Utah didn't extend him a year ago, and now with the team playing hardball, sources say he is strongly considering the idea of playing somewhere else entirely. The Jazz reportedly put a 5-year offer worth around $140 million on the table, and Kessler's camp turned it down, looking for significantly more. So you've got a genuinely unhappy young star and a front office squeezing him. That right there is the crack. That's the opening. So let me tell you exactly who the Lakers would be getting, because this is where it gets exciting. Walker Kessler is 24 years old, 24, and he is already one of the best rim protectors in the entire NBA, a legitimate, elite, shot-swatting anchor in the paint. He's a monster on the glass, a rebounding machine, and on offense he is the perfect lob threat, a vertical spacer who dives to the rim, catches lobs, and finishes everything above it. He doesn't need plays called for him. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. He just rolls, catches, and dunks and protects the rim on the other end. Now, here's the part I want you to really sit with. How often does a 24-year-old elite two-way center actually become available? Almost never. Young, cost-controlled big men who can anchor a defense are some of the most protected assets in the league. They simply do not hit the market in their prime, and one just might. And let me give you some real meat on just how good this guy is, because I don't think the casual fan fully appreciates it. From the moment Kessler entered the league, he was a shot-blocking phenomenon, the kind of rim protector who led the entire NBA in blocks per game as a young player and immediately announced himself as one of the best paint defenders alive. He came to Utah as a centerpiece of the Rudy Gobert trade, and the comparison fits because he plays the exact same role Gobert built a Defensive Player of the Year career on. Erase shots at the rim, vacuum up rebounds, and finish lobs on offense. He's massive, he's mobile for his size, and his timing as a shot blocker is genuinely elite. We're talking about a player who routinely posts double-digit rebounds and multiple blocks a night when he's healthy, who changes every single shot an opponent thinks about taking in the paint. That's not a role player, that's a defensive cornerstone, the kind of player you build an entire identity around, and the fact that a talent like this at 24 could possibly be pried loose is the whole reason this is worth getting excited about. Players like this are supposed to be untouchable. This one is reachable if you're bold enough to reach. And now think about the fit, because this is what makes Lakers fans drool. Luka Doncic is one of the greatest offensive engines and one of the best passers the game has ever seen. What does a passer like that need more than anything? A vertical lob threat who turns every pick and roll into a highlight, a big who dives to the rim and finishes the dimes Luka is throwing. That's Walker Kessler. And on the other end, the Lakers have been crying out for rim protection and interior defense since they moved on from Anthony Davis in the Luka trade. They have been searching all offseason for a real center, a true anchor. Kessler is the answer to both problems at once. He protects the rim Luka can't, and he finishes the lobs Luka throws. It is, on paper, about as clean a fit as exists in the entire league. This isn't me dreaming. This is why reporters keep tying the Lakers to him specifically. So now let's get into the heist, because this is the part that actually matters. And it's genuinely tricky. How do you steal a restricted free agent from a team that can just match any offer? You have to be smart and you have to be aggressive. The main weapon is the offer sheet. Starting in July, the Lakers can put a contract offer in front of Kessler, and if he signs it, Utah has a limited window to either match it or let him walk. The art of it, the chess move, is structuring that offer sheet in a way that makes it as painful as possible for the Jazz to match. You front load it, you build in salary spikes and player options, you make the money awkward for Utah's cap situation so that matching it becomes a genuine headache rather than an easy yes. The goal is to make the Jazz blink. The other path is a sign and trade, where instead of forcing Utah to lose him for nothing, the Lakers send Utah some assets in exchange for the right to sign him, giving the Jazz a reason to actually let go. Either way, the Lakers have the tools, the cap flexibility, and the motivation to make a real, aggressive run. And there's even a wrinkle here that's been reported. Austin Reeves could help by delaying his own new deal, giving the Lakers the room they'd need to get a Kessler offer done first. That's a front office and a roster working in concert to pull off something difficult. And let me take you even deeper into the chess match, because this is where it gets genuinely fascinating. The whole thing kicks off when Utah issues Kessler a qualifying offer, a one-year deal worth around $7 million, which is what officially makes him a restricted free agent. From that point, starting in July, Kessler is free to negotiate with teams like the Lakers and sign an offer sheet. The moment he signs one, a clock starts. Utah gets a short window to match it, and if they don't match in time, he's a Laker. Simple as that. So the entire game is about making that offer sheet as hard to match as humanly possible. You can front load the salary so the first year hit is enormous. You can add a player option that gives Kessler control and scares Utah about the long-term commitment. You can structure the raises to land at the worst possible time for the Jazz's future cap sheet. This is the art of the poison pill, and teams have used it for decades to pry restricted free agents loose. There's also the leverage Kessler himself holds. If he's truly fed up, he can threaten to simply accept that one-year qualifying offer, play out the season, and walk away as a completely free agent the next summer, leaving Utah with nothing. That threat alone can pressure the Jazz into either dealing him in a sign and trade or letting an offer sheet go unmatched. And don't forget the injury angle working in the Lakers' favor here. Because Kessler is coming off shoulder surgery, his price is slightly depressed, which makes the whole math a little more attainable than it would be otherwise. Every one of these levers is a tool the Lakers can use. The question is whether they pull them aggressively enough. But I told you I'd be honest with you, so let's take the doubts head on, because they're real on this one. The first and biggest objection is the obvious one. Utah will just match. Restricted free agency always ends with the team keeping the guy. And that's the central risk, I won't pretend otherwise. The Jazz absolutely could match, and a lot of smart people believe the most likely outcome is still that Kessler ends up back in Utah. But here's the counter. Things have gotten genuinely tense. When a young player is this frustrated and the relationship is this strained and another team comes in with a creatively structured offer that's hard to match, sometimes the team holding the cards decides it's not worth it or simply can't make the money work. Restricted free agency usually ends with the player staying, yes, but usually is not always, and the cracks here are real and growing. You don't get opportunities like this by waiting for sure things. You get them by being ready to pounce when a rift opens up. The second objection is the injury. Walker Kessler tore the labrum in his shoulder last season and needed surgery just a handful of games in, so he barely played. And that's a legitimate concern. You have to factor it in. But here's the thing. It's a shoulder, not a chronic knee or back issue, and he's 24, with plenty of time to come back at full strength. If anything, the injury slightly suppresses his market and his price, which is part of why he might be gettable at all. One smart analyst literally called him a potential distressed asset, a player a team could grab for a little less than he's truly worth because of the messy circumstances. For the Lakers, buying a bit low on a 24-year-old elite center because of a shoulder he'll recover from is a risk absolutely worth taking. The third objection is the fit on offense question. Some will say Kessler can't shoot threes, that he's a non-shooting center in a league that increasingly wants bigs to space the floor, and that's a fair point about his game, but it completely misunderstands what the Lakers need. They don't need a stretch big standing in the corner. They have Luka and shooters for spacing. What they need is exactly what Kessler is, a vertical lob threat who dives to the rim and a defensive anchor who protects it. His lack of a jump shot is irrelevant to the role he'd play next to Luka. He fills the exact hole the Lakers have, and his game and Luka's game fit together like puzzle pieces. And let me paint the on-court picture for you, because it's genuinely beautiful to imagine. Picture Luka Doncic running a pick and roll with Walker Kessler. The defense already has to send extra bodies at Luka because he's a walking 40-point night, and the second they do, Kessler is diving to the rim for a thunderous lob that nobody can contest. It's the easiest offense in basketball, and it's the exact partnership that has made point guards and rolling centers into nightmares for years. Now flip to the other end. The Lakers have spent all season getting pounded inside, with no real answer when teams attack the rim. Now imagine Kessler back there, erasing layups, swatting shots into the third row, swallowing rebounds, turning the paint into a no-fly zone. And remember the conference they play in. The Western Conference is full of dominant big men and relentless rim attacks. You cannot win 4 playoff rounds out there without a real answer in the middle. For years, the Lakers have tried to get by without one. Kessler would be that answer, on both ends, for a decade. That's the kind of addition that doesn't just patch a hole, it raises the ceiling of the entire team and changes what they're capable of in May and June. So let me tell you where my head is at, and then I've got one final thought that I think is the real key to all of this. If the Lakers pull this off, they solve the single biggest problem on their roster in one move, and they do it by landing a 24-year-old foundational center who fits Luka Doncic perfectly. At the exact moment a rift in Utah cracked the door open. Think about what that does. It gives Luka the rim-running, lob-catching partner every great point guard dreams of. It gives a defense that has been soft in the middle a real elite anchor. It gives the franchise a young building block who can grow alongside Luka for years, bridging the win now LeBron era and the long-term Luka era at the same time. That's not a role player addition, that's a cornerstone. And in a brutal Western Conference full of dominant big men, having a real answer in the paint isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. And here's the thought I want to leave you with, the part almost nobody is connecting. The best front offices don't just wait for players to become available. They watch for tension, for frustration, for cracks in another team's situation, and they position themselves to strike the second an opportunity opens. A young, elite center almost never hits the market, but when one is this unhappy and his team is this aggressive about suppressing him and the relationship is this strained, a door opens that almost never opens. The Lakers have the cap flexibility, the perfect need, and a superstar in Luka who makes them an attractive destination. This is exactly the kind of situation where a bold, creative, aggressive front office turns another team's mess into its own franchise-altering win. The opportunity is rare, the fit is perfect, and the door is open right now. I'm not telling you it's signed. I have no reporting that says the ink is dry, and I am never going to make something up for you, because the only reason you keep coming back to me is that I shoot you straight even when the path is complicated and the other team can still slam the door. And they can. The Jazz could match, but I am telling you the rift is real, the fit is perfect, the Lakers have the tools, and a 24-year-old elite center is about as rare a prize as exists in this league. And tonight, Shams Charania said on national television that the Lakers are preparing to make their move. You stack all of that up, the fit and the rarity and the opening in Utah, and you can feel it, can't you? This is the one that actually makes sense. So here's what I need from you. Keep your phone close over the next few weeks, because once free agency opens and offer sheets start flying, this kind of thing can move fast and break hearts on both sides. Remember where you were when you heard this, because if it happens, you'll want to remember the night the Lakers found their center. And tell me down below, do you do it? If you're the Lakers, do you go all in on a creative offer sheet, force the Jazz to make a painful decision, and try to pry a 24-year-old anchor loose for Luka? Or do you play it safe, assume Utah will just match, and go chase a lesser option? Because somewhere in Los Angeles tonight, a front office that has searched all offseason for exactly this kind of player is staring at a crack in Utah and deciding whether to attack it. And somewhere in Salt Lake City, a front office that thought it had all the leverage might be about to learn what happens when you push a good young player too far. I'll be watching every second of it, and the moment anything moves, you already know I'll be right back here to break it all down for you, every single detail of it. Stay close. The window to steal a star doesn't open often, and the Lakers might be about to climb right through it.